particular type of question, we're going to be talking about the difference between functions and relations, okay? So if I said number 17, what do you guys think that is, a function or a relation? It is a function, okay? Each x has one y value. Now if I asked you to label the domain of this, the domain would simply be a 10, a 20, and a 30. And the range for this would be a 1, 2, 3. That's what the domain of the range would be. Now, whenever you guys are just plotting points, all right, that's going to be what's known as a discrete function. So this is also not just a function, it's referred to as a discrete function, okay? Now, over here, look at number 18. Is this a function or a relation? Relation, because we have an x value here that's going to two different y values. But once again, we're dealing with points, so this is actually referred to as a discrete relation. Now the domain is a -1, a 2, and a 3, and the range is 1, 3, 5, and a 7. So we're not going to go over all these. I want you guys to understand the difference between a discrete function and a discrete relation. So let me go down a little bit. Let's look at number 20. Sorry. Okay? All right. Let's look at 21 and 22. Because 21 and 22, those are not considered to be discrete. Both of these are considered to be continuous. These are both continuous. So they have that in common. However, this one does not pass the what? The vertical line test. You can even use the y-axis here as your vertical line test because it crosses here, and here. So this is continuous, but it's a continuous relation, okay? And the domain and range happens to be all real numbers because all real numbers are being plotted, okay? So the domain and range are all real numbers, but it's a continuous relation. Yes? Question? Okay. A relation is anything to be plotted. A function, each x value can only have one y value. So would you agree that let's say this was at a 0, 4.
The rest of it's just like has to be 120.
Right. A vertical line test can only cross it once, not more than once. So right here, Andrew, right here, would that be about a 0, 1?
Okay, now I understand now.
So like 0, -4. So basically, if we were doing the math, you'd have 0, right? And it would be going to how many different numbers? A lot, right? So for example, if we had a map of this, we put a map. I'm going to say the number 0 would actually go to a 4, a 1, and a -1. You'd have a line going here, here, and there. Now I just made up those numbers estimating, okay? But you'd have 0 going to 3 different numbers. So that's a continuous relation. Over here, though, we have what? We have a continuous function because it totally passes the vertical line test. No matter where I put a vertical line, it only crosses how many places? Just one. Just one. Now, let me talk about the domain and the range. All right? Here, the domain is all real numbers, okay? But if I asked you for the range of this, you see how low it gets? What's the y value right there? So right here, I don't know what the x value is, but I know the y value is 0. So my range, if I put this in set builder notation, the set of all y values is such that y is greater than or equal to 0. That would be the range of this function because it doesn't get any lower than a 0. Everything's greater than or equal to a 0. Now the main thing I wanted you guys to get across from this is the difference between what? A continuous relation and a continuous function and a discrete function and a discrete relation. You're going to have questions on your paper where it's a multiple choice type, like a matching. You get like a whole bunch of answers and you get to match each one of them. Okay? So you have to know the difference between those. Alright. Problem number 27 and 28. Alright? We're going to do both of these. First of all, you guys need to know that f of x is equal to 3 times x minus 5. Now this is true when you're plugging in x into your function. Okay? But if I say evaluate f of a, all you guys have to do is simply replace what your term for x was and replace it with what? An a. All right? So your answer for number 27 would simply be 3a minus a 5. Now, if you're asked to put a number in, then plug in a number. If you're asked to put a letter in, then plug in a letter. All right? So your answer for number 27 would be, what is f of a? F of a is equal to 3a minus 5. Okay? Now, let's look at this one. I said g of x. G of x is equal to x squared minus n x. But if I say, what is g of 5 times n, what am I going to put in the place of x? I'm going to put in what? 5n. So I need to place a 5 in here and a 5 in right there. Now students sometimes they're not sure what to do next. So what does something squared mean? It means you take that number and you multiply it to itself. So 5 times 5 is 25. And n times n is n squared minus a 5n. And that's your final answer. Now, if you're on an SAT test and they asked you to do that, that probably wouldn't be the final answer. The final answer would be, I can factor out a 5. I can factor out an n. So the final answer would be this. This is if you factor out a 5n, you probably see that as, sorry? Well, watch this, ready? What's 5n times 5n? 25n squared. What's 5n times 1? Negative 5n. Alright? This is basically, the SAT, they have lots of questions where you have to factor out a common factor. So you would probably get to this and go, wait a second, I don't see any of the answer choices that match it. But these right here mean the exact same thing. Okay? What I'm expecting for you to do tomorrow, right now, is just this. Just that. Okay? Alright, number 29. We need to get it into standard form. Here's your review of standard form. AX plus BY equals C. Remember, your A value better not be what? But not negative, people. Not negative. So think of it. A cannot be a teenager. Okay? Now, that's true. That's true. Now, A, B, and C, they all need to be what? They all need to be integers. So they all have to be, they can't be decimals, they can't be fractions, which we got a whole bunch of junk going on here. We'll figure that one out a little bit, okay? Then, also, what's the greatest common factor have to be between A, B, and C? 1. All right, here we go. We have y equals 4x minus 6. By the way, that's in slope-intercept form, right? That's in slope-intercept form, but it's not in standard form. So what do we need to do? We need to move the x across, right? So right here, we're going to take this guy, and we're going to chuck him across the equal sign. And whenever you move a number across the equal sign, it becomes the... Not the flipping opposite. That's the perpendicular slope of lines. Man, no. She just likes saying that word. Okay, I should have never said that word. Technically, the math term for what you're saying is negative reciprocal. And that's dealing with perpendicular slope. There's no perpendicular slope right here. Never know. So right now, you're going to say negative 4x plus y equals a negative 6. So basically what we did here, the slow method is, I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. Say that again. Why do we need to distribute a negative to every single number?
Because you can't have a negative a.
That's right, because you can't have a negative a. He beat you. He beat you to the answer there, Shane. All right. So, negative times negative is a positive. Negative times a y is a... And negative times a negative 6 is a... Aha! Right there, everybody, is standard form. Now, wait a second. That's in standard form, but I told you to identify what? A, B, and C. Can you tell me what A is?
4, -1, and 6.
So for this one, you cannot answer any questions on the next one. Other people are going to have to answer for you. Remember that. Quota. You met your quota for speaking. All right. I almost clicked this. All right, because it's recording right here. So, anyways, number 30. There's a whole lot of stuff that we need to change. This is definitely not an ax plus by equals c form. This is messed up like a football bat. All right.
I love football bats. It's a golf ball bat.
No, there's no such thing as a football bat, so that'd be pretty messed up because you don't have bats in football. All right. There you go. What's one of our problems, people? One of our problems.
The y needs to be over on the other side.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this, we're going to move the y over to the other side, which means we need to subtract 2y from both sides. So here we go. Negative 1 half of an x minus a 2y equals negative 3 over 2. Shane, I got a whole bunch of problems still that I don't like. Could you tell me, Shane, what I need to do next? Please. By the way, we have a whole bunch of teenagers. We've got to change them. Multiply by negative. Very good. Now, Angela, you're up next, okay? You're up next. Oh, yeah, you're up next. We had to multiply everything by negative. When you distribute a negative to every single term, it just becomes the opposite of what it is. So we have a half of an x plus a 2y equals a positive 3 over 2. Now, you don't have to give me the solution, Angela, but you need to tell me the problem that we still have to solve. There's something that we need to solve up there that's not okay. I cannot, by the way, I can't say a is equal to a half. Why can I not say a is equal to a half? Why would that be wrong? Because a needs to be an integer. That's right, a needs to be an integer. And a half right over here, people, that's not an integer.
Can it be a decimal?
No, it can't be a decimal.
Divide 6.
No, I don't want to multiply it by 6. You could, but I don't want to. Shane, what do we want to multiply everything by? 2. Now, why did I choose the number 2? Because the 2 is in the denominator. Now, Blue, if you multiplied it by 6, that's fine, but eventually you would have to divide everything by 2 at the end. It would just give you one extra step. So right here, the least, by the way, the least common multiple, everybody, between a 2 and a 2 is a 2.
It'd be 1.
No.
Is it 1 plus 4 equals 3?
Hold on. You're answering something I haven't asked you a question of. What she was saying is 2 times 1 divided by 2 is 1x. 2 times 2y is 4y. 2 times 3 is 6 divided by 2 is 3. This is your answer in standard form. Your a value is 1. Your b value, I knew it! You went past your quota, Andrew, and I knew you were going to be tempted to say that. All right? And 3. So a is 1, b is 4, c is 3. By the way, is there a high probability you're going to have to do something very similar? Yes. Just like the same type of problem, but the numbers have been changed. Okay? I guarantee you this, you're not going to have to multiply everything by 2. It'll probably be a different number in the denominator. Okay? All right. And you know what, we're going to run out of time for the last one. So, there will be notes on the website to go over parallel versus perpendicular, which that's dealing with a negative reciprocal slope. All right, go ahead and say it.